Hello, this is Pepperboy and welcome to my devlog for Please Await Further Instructions, a game made in 3 days for Minijam 117, Ghosts. A game jam is a game dev competition where I have to make a game in a set amount of time, usually based around a theme. And something that is getting increasingly common with my recent game jams, this one also had a limitation. So before the jam started, we were thinking of doing some sort of horror game, because it is the spooky month, and the theme was ghosts. So, the jam starts, and we see that the limitation is shotgun as a mechanic. So right after that was announced, Stain Talkton, who is the most interested in horror stuff out of all of us, showed us the Mandela Catalogue, an analog horror series on YouTube in the style of a VHS tape, where supernatural beings known as alternates do spooky stuff. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but if you want to watch it, I'll have a link in the description. And when we had that figured out, we started to come up with a plan. So we knew we wanted to have like a series of videos that play, but we weren't sure what to do between them. The first thing we thought of was mini-games, but we weren't sure how we would fit that into the videos. So we decided to go with an idea where the player will get instructions in the video and have to follow them out in a room. And to fit the limitation, there's a shotgun on the wall that is important to the story. But the jam started late on a Thursday for me, so that was the end of day 1. So, day 2 started, and I got basic movement working, and a system that detects if the player interacts with an object, but it doesn't do anything right now. And then Jamal started doing his thing with the art, getting the character and a TV already done. So, I added them in, and I gave the TV a shader that gives it a static effect. And while we were doing that, Stan was working on the story, and he also found a text-to-speech that was really creepy.
Hello, civilians of
Elm Canton.
It has come to our attention that a social dilemma is affecting our country.
Spooky. Anyway, Jamal came up with some concept art for lighting, and that seemed like a good idea, because it's good for atmosphere in a horror game, and I feel like lighting just helps make games look a lot better. So I got it in, and it really helps with the atmosphere, which is critical for a horror game. But now that it's looking better, I need to start putting more work into the gameplay. So I spent some more time on the interaction system, making it so that you can open and close windows. But I had a problem. I wanted there to be things on top of each other, but in this system I wasn't sure how you'd be able to choose one. So we decided to change it to a point and click game. But that had to wait because it was the end of day 2, the first full day. I was busy for a good chunk of day 3, but it was fine as I was able to get point and click working. It was kind of a pain with everything being a little bit janky, but I got everything working eventually. So given that it's the last night of the game jam, as it ends at 8 PM for me on day 4, I worked pretty late, or early depending on how you look at it, and got a ton of polishing done. Including making the player walk to where an interaction is done, adding a walk animation, and adding a background. So now it's on to the final day and we don't have the content in yet. Stain had already made 2 out of the 6 videos that we need for the final game, but I didn't have them in yet. And I'm gonna be honest, unlike the last days of game jams, my brain kinda goes on autopilot. So I don't completely remember what happened, but what I do know is that we had a playable game with 3 out of the 6 videos, with about 3 hours left to go. But Stain had his shift extended against his will, so I wasn't able to add in the rest for a few hours. So I spent that time working on the jump scare. In the jam version, the jump scare wasn't great. A ghost just walks up to you and you get a loud noise in a picture that Jamal and Stain made that's a mashup of a bunch of pictures that were messed with in Photoshop. But after the jam, I updated it, so it's a bit more scary now. Another thing I did was find a VHS shader online, which really helps with how the game looks. But then Stain was available with about 1.5 hours left to go in the jam. And he got the videos done really quickly. So it was up to me to be able to finish the game before the deadline. But the systems that I made for tasks were really poorly made, so I had to fight with them to get anything working. And I wasn't able to finish it by the time the jam was over. But luckily, Minijam is really cool about late submissions and they don't have a penalty or anything. So we spent a few hours after the jam was over to make sure the game was finished. I added in all the videos and their tasks, I hooked up the jump scare, I added in a mysterious painting, and I put in a lot of sound effects. And yeah, we had a finished game. And now on to Stain for how he did the videos and sounds.
Hello there, I'm Stain Talkton. I directed the game along with doing some audio and visual work. I'm extremely addicted to analog horror, so when we received the restriction and the theme, I immediately wanted to take it in an analog horror kind of direction. One of the biggest difficulties when it comes to games is being able to translate an idea into game form, and that's especially difficult when 2 people are a part of that. because it was essentially me trying to formulate an idea and get Pepperboy to create it the way that I had envisioned, which is extremely hard to do. And so with the restriction revealed at around midnight, I ended up starting to write a script once we all agreed on this idea at around 2 a.m. And I wrote it in such a way of mainly dialogue and then also presenting some actions that would occur after dialogue bits, just so that hopefully what I have in mind can be essentially written down in such a way that when Pepperboy looks at it, he gets the exact concept that I had and is able to recreate it. So I then put the dialogue that I had written in a text-to-speech generator, exported that, put it into Logic Pro X, edit that audio, and then I put it into iMovie so I could make videos. Making the videos weren't too complicated. It was a lot of going into Google Slides and putting images either online that had a Creative Commons license or some images I had to make myself, and then putting that in Google Slides, taking some screenshots on my laptop, and then going into remove.bg to remove the backgrounds, and then putting it into iMovie, timing it, etc. And it wasn't that complicated because I've had to do stuff similarly to that for like history projects, so it wasn't that bad. That also ended up coming with the benefit of, because the videos are, I guess, the main aspect of what you're viewing, that's where a lot of the audio goes in. So I didn't actually have to do too much audio work apart from that, and I really appreciate Tacky Bunker being there to do some of that audio work, because I don't think I would have had the time to do so. Visually, I didn't do too much, but the most difficult part for me was the jump scare. Because I wanted to find a way to make something that was going to be freaky without it looking stupid. And it does look a little stupid, but in the moment, it does its job, and it ended up being a lot of back and forth between the team of finding images online to use, and so the face itself and the process of making it was using 2 police sketch images, an image of a random lady from thispersondoesnotexist.com, as well as using my face. And we took those 4. I ended up going into my iPhone. Like I sent them to my iPhone, and then I just edited the crap out of it in the iPhone settings, sending it back to my computer, putting it in File Alpaca, and kind of just merging the images however I wanted to. And then I saved that image. I went to, I forget what website, and I pixelated the images so that we have it kind of match the theme of the game and the overall style. And it did its job. I think it's really funny to say that my face is a part of that. And yeah, it's kind of dumb, but I'm really happy about it. I probably shouldn't be, but I really am. I want to thank the team again for allowing me to be a part of this, because Burnwood was such a crazy experience, and being able to take the lead on Please Wait for the Instructions was an absolute joy. So yeah, thank you, and take care.
So now you might be wondering, how did the game do? Well, out of 200 entries in the jam, it got number 50th overall, and for presentation it got 23rd, which is really good, especially when we were stepping out of our comfort zone like we did for this game. And also, it got onto itch's first page of popular, which is just mind-blowing. So yeah, if you want to check out the game, it'll be the first link in the description, and thanks for watching.